Welcome to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, founder of the Reiki Business Collective and creator of the Build Your Reiki Business program, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Greetings, welcome, and thanks so much for joining me. It's Christian, so honored to welcome you to another Build Your Reiki Business podcast episode. In this episode, we're talking about group Reiki sessions for your Reiki business. But first, I want to make sure you know that on Saturday, August the 30th, coming up soon, I'm hosting the free Sacred Inbox Workshop. This workshop is for Reiki practitioners at all points on their Reiki business journey, whether you are just starting out or you've been in business for years. In this workshop, I'm going to share with you why using email in your Reiki business can be so impactful and how to get started. If you can't join live, you will get the recording, but save your seat at reikibusinesssummit.com/email. Please don't delay. Thank you. Group Reiki can be really great for our Reiki business. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how you might want to offer a group Reiki session, the different ways that you could do it, the types of things that you might want to include or not include and not do in a group Reiki session, and even some thoughts on what to charge for a group Reiki session. So first of all, we of course know that Reiki knows no bounds. We could send Reiki to the whole world all at once. And so when people ask, is it possible to send Reiki to more than one person at a time? Yes, of course it is. Because yes, of course, we can send Reiki across time and space as well. Reiki is infinite, which of course means that sending Reiki or receiving Reiki to more than one person at a time is completely within the possibilities of Reiki's power. So what is a group Reiki session? I define a group Reiki session as one that is 3 or more people. Because if it's 2 people, it's a couple session. If it's 1 person, it's an individual session. And so group Reiki is 3 or more. And when I say group Reiki, I don't mean a Reiki share, which is a gathering in which Reiki practitioners are offering Reiki to one another, or a Reiki circle, which is what a Reiki share is sometimes called. So when I talk about group Reiki, I mean one Reiki practitioner, or even maybe more. You could indeed collaborate and partner with another Reiki practitioner or another practitioner of another modality, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what I mean is that there is a group that is receiving Reiki all at the same time. But with group Reiki, you can do this online or in person, or I should say distance or in person, though I've never done group Reiki on the phone. My Reiki business started as a distance Reiki business on the phone, but I've never done group Reiki on the phone. However, I've done it plenty of times online and in person. But how you structure the session really depends on the audience, and it depends on your preferences and on the amount of time you have, the time frame. And so what that means is that there's no one best or right way to offer a group Reiki session, and you may change it up from time to time depending on who the group is, how much time you have, the room setup, Is it distance? Is it in person? So lots of things go into determining how you might want to offer each individual group session. But when we have a group session, when we start off a group session, I really encourage and recommend having a discussion, a presentation at the beginning of what Reiki is when you have beginners in your group or people who are unfamiliar with Reiki or a mix of people in the group. And so if you're offering a group session, you may have people who are brand new to Reiki, have never heard of it or never tried it, and they're curious. Maybe a friend brought them. You may have people who have had a Reiki session before, maybe a Reiki session with you or with another practitioner, and you may have other practitioners in your group session as well. So you can have quite a mix. And I encourage starting off with an explanation of what Reiki is. Anytime you have people who are unfamiliar with it in a group setting. Well, I recommend this in an individual setting as well, but definitely in a group setting. Starting off with some kind of presentation is going to help the group get to know you and get to feel comfortable with being there. Sometimes when we do group things, we as humans get a little nervous about what to expect, what's going to happen, and we're worried about fitting in with the group. We're worried about doing something outside of the group norm or the group culture, and we're looking to other people to figure out how we're supposed to act and what we're supposed to do. And so as the practitioner, we have an important role to play in helping to welcome everyone, to help them feel comfortable, and to set up expectations. And so this presentation at the beginning is a great opportunity to welcome everyone, to set up expectations for what to expect for your time together, and to explain Reiki if people are unfamiliar with it. Now, when I've done group Reiki sessions at expos or corporate events, I've always started with an introduction about Reiki, an introduction about myself, because the vast majority of attendees don't know who I am, and maybe, especially in the corporate setting, brand new to Reiki. And so I'll start off with the question of, has anyone heard of or experienced Reiki? And get people discussing and sharing and talking. Even if you have a group that is familiar with Reiki, let's say you have a client who is having a group of their friends over at their house and you're doing a group Reiki session for your client and their friends and they're all familiar with Reiki. It's still, I think, helpful to get the conversation going at the beginning to help people feel comfortable and to get them starting to connect with you and with one another, to just simply ask them about their Reiki experiences. And so I do recommend anytime you offer a group session in this kind of corporate or workshop kind of setting, that you leave time for sharing and leave time for discussion. There's no need to fill every single minute in a group session. And oftentimes people will want to share and even to connect with the other group members. So budget in some time for discussion and sharing, no matter how long your group session is going to last. Like I mentioned, it's important for us to set expectations, and so I recommend explaining the process. So letting the attendees know what to expect, how your time together is going to play out, what you are going to do. Anytime we can explain the process and set expectations for our clients, whether in a group or an individual setting, it's really going to help put them at ease. When we know what to expect, we feel much more comfortable in any given setting. Now, the way that I have offered Reiki itself in a group setting is that I've had it set up multiple ways. An audience style in which I'm at the front of the room and everyone is sitting facing me. So that's an audience kind of style. I've also done it where everyone has been in a circle and I have been at the center or sitting as a member of the circle itself, as opposed to standing in the middle of it. Now, in these kinds of settings, I will typically offer Reiki in this way. I'll start by sending to the group as a whole. So I'll stand at the front and send Reiki to the group as a whole. Then, depending on the size of the group, I will offer Reiki to each individual. Now, this is where something like the room setup really has an impact on what I do next. If everyone is in a circle and they are accessible, I will go around to each individual one at a time and just offer a minute, 2 minutes, again, depending upon the number of people, of Reiki to each individual. Of course, there's no need to do all of the hand positions. And certainly in this kind of setting, I will not bother with that. Remember, Reiki will do its thing. Reiki is infinite. Reiki has got this. If it's an audience style kind of a setup in which each individual is not easily accessible, I'll just stand at the front of the room, continue to stay at the front of the room, and send Reiki to each individual. Again, depending on the size of the group. And then I will come back to sending Reiki to the group as a whole. So I go group, individual, group is how I send. Now, some might ask, Christian, what about the kind of setting in which you are doing each person as an individual with their own individual session? So let's say you're at that client's house where they've gathered their friends. And instead of offering Reiki to the group as a whole all at one time, you are having individual sessions with each person, with each party attendee, maybe like in a back room or something. I don't count that as group Reiki. I just see that as a bunch of individual sessions. So in that situation, it's just a bunch of back-to-back individual sessions. But in a group session, you've got the whole group all there experiencing the session together at the same time. Depending on the setup, the room, and the audience, you may have people lying down, maybe on blankets, maybe on mats. When I've done these, typically people have been seated, but yes, indeed, you could have them lying down on mats or in chairs, whatever's comfortable for the group and for each individual. That's always what's most important. But that means that if you have people receiving Reiki lying down, you don't have to get down on the ground for each individual person. Indeed, you can stand over them if you decide to do the individual sending like I do, but you could just send to the group for the whole time and not spend any time on any one particular individual. That's all okay. For distance, the way that I've done this is that the same way. First of all, I always allow anyone to have their screens on or off whether it's group or individual, as it feels comfortable to them. I always turn my screen off during a session in order to set that sacred space, and I always do it live. And so some practitioners will talk to their client, hang up, and then send Reiki, do the session, and then send them an email, a message, call them again, have a chat, or whatever. I'm live with the client all of the time. I talk about it in my Distance Reiki podcast. I have an episode on Distance Reiki. I'll drop that down below. But same thing, of course, with group Reiki. When I do that online, which I have not done in quite some time, it might be time for me to do another group Reiki session online. I haven't done this in, I think, a couple of years. But anyway, I am always live for those as well. And for those, depending on the group size, I will indeed do group, individual, group. But when I have a larger group, I'm not sending to each individual. I just am sending to the group itself. Now, when it comes to adding in other things to the group session, you could do that. So you could add a guided meditation. You could add a sound bath. You could have Reiki sent to people in a yoga class. So there are lots of different ways that you can offer Reiki to a group. And there are lots of ways that you can collaborate with other practitioners. So you could start with a guided meditation, or you could have a practitioner lead people on a guided meditation while you are sending Reiki. Or you could do the guided meditation while you are sending Reiki to the group. You could collaborate with a sound bath practitioner who is offering a sound bath while you are sending Reiki. A yoga practitioner could be holding a yoga class where you are off in the corner offering Reiki. Now, in these kinds of instances, I do recommend either standing or sitting off to the corner so that you're not disturbing the group in their activity. So if there's a sound bath going on, that you're not walking around amongst people and interrupting the sound bath, or walking around amongst people offering them Reiki while they are in downward dog. Just let them do their thing. And you can stand or sit off in the corner and send Reiki to the group, and including to each individual, while you are not disturbing the activity. Yes, of course, Reiki will work. So now, what do we charge for a group Reiki session? Well, like with anything in our Reiki business, it depends. If you are offering a group Reiki session for an organization, a business, a company, for a retreat, you'll want to factor in any kind of workshop style presentation that you might give at the outset, or anything else that might be included in that time. So always you want to consider each situation as a whole, and to consider it in terms of not just the amount of time, not just the number of people, but in terms of all of the other things that goes into it, like your travel, your prep time, even the company's budget. All of those things factor into what you might charge. So it really depends. But I encourage looking at each individual situation as a whole, rather than just simply an amount of time or a number of people. If you are collaborating with another practitioner, like in a sound bath or a yoga class, you'll want to take into consideration that they're going to take a cut as well, and to work with them on what that split looks like, and then ultimately what to charge. Now, in-person versus distance, what do you charge? Some practitioners say that you should charge the same amount for distance as you do in person. because it's still your time, the same amount of time, and that you're doing the same amount of work. But for me personally, I do charge less for my distance sessions than I do in person. Because with my in-person sessions, they are mobile, and so I'm traveling, and so I'm charging more for the travel and the travel time and things like that. But I like to then think of my distance sessions as a sweatpants discount. There's a lot of convenience to me, and so there's no travel, there's no extra time. I can just turn on my computer and go while I'm wearing sweatpants. And so I like to think of doing things online or distance as a sweatpants discount. What you do in your Reiki business is up to you. But when it comes to group specifically, some practitioners say that we should charge the same price per person as in a full session, because each person is still getting the time with you. And so let's say that you charge $100 per session for an individual session. There are some practitioners who say you should charge each person $100 because they're all still getting the same amount of time with you. I personally disagree with that. I personally view group things as like a cost sharing. And so an individual distance session with me might be $100. But if I'm offering a group session, I'm not going to charge each person $100. I might charge $50, $25, even $10, who knows? Remember, it depends on the context. It depends on each individual situation. But I'm not working with someone one-on-one and they're not getting my full attention. And so I do charge less for a group session, just like my classes are less than it would be for the same amount of time one-on-one with me. So I believe in the power of cost sharing with group things. And probably clients expect to pay less for a group Reiki session because they're not getting you individually one-on-one. I'm going to leave you with one final thought that you may want to use when it comes to pricing. There are lots of ways that you can take your experience with the group Reiki session and then turn those into individual sessions. And one way that you could do this is to offer a group Reiki session at $25. So anyone who attends the group Reiki session pays $25, and then offer everyone the opportunity to join you one-on-one for their own individual session for $25 off that one-on-one session, which means that they would in essence get that group session for free. And that means you could potentially get some individual sessions out of that group session. That's just one way to approach it. There are plenty of other ways. Percentage discounts, packages, all other kinds of ways that you could get those who attend a group session to then join you for a one-on-one session. But do you offer group Reiki sessions in your Reiki business? How do you structure your group sessions? Join us in the Reiki Business Collective Facebook group and tell us all about it at facebook.com/groups/Reiki Biz. Sending so many blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Thanks for tuning in to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend. Learn more about the Build Your Reiki Business program at standingstoneshealing.com/build, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business.